tonight's coverage of the BTDY Racing League Chase for the BTDY Cup. There's no place like home here at the Kansas Speedway for race 1.
Tonight, it is BTDY night in America as the Below the Double Yellow Racing League heads to Dover, Delaware to take on Miles the Monster for race number 11 of the FloridaSkinDoctor.com BTDY Racing Series. Tonight also marks the penultimate race of the regular season as these drivers position themselves for the 8-race chase for the championship. We're going to be bringing you all the action tonight right here live on VSPEED. Good evening, everyone. My name's Daniel Cunningham, and up here in the booth with me, pulling double duty tonight, we got Lucas Lyons on production and also co-commentating with us. And Lucas, the first two opportunities that we've had to work with this series, or at least the first two opportunities I've had to work with this series, it has not disappointed. We've had some really good racing, really amazing finishes. How you doing tonight, and what's your thoughts on this race as they get ready to take on the Monster Mile?
You know, Daniel, I'm doing pretty good. We have had some great racing over here in BTDY, especially with Richmond with that 3-wide finish with a green-white checkered. I think tonight is going to be a little bit different. It's like you said, we're at Dover, and I think there's going to be a little bit of chaos, and should be a great race tonight.
You are absolutely right. They don't call it the Monster Mile for no reason. Bit of a self-cleaning racetrack. Very easy to get caught up in other people's mess at this racetrack. And you had mentioned it. We've seen a lot of good finishes. Let's take a look at our point standings. As last week, we had, I don't want to call it a surprise winner, but Bailey Turner, stretching the fuel, playing the strategy card, was able to get a win. And that was actually his third win of the season that he got last week. And that moved him up into 5th place in points. But as you can see, 2 races left before we get to the chase. The battle up at the top is tight. 1 point difference between Brody Hayes and Levi Cox for that top spot. Heath Mayato still just 19 points back of the overall lead. And even when you take a look down at that cut line, anywhere from Brian Phillips on down, you got to like your chances to try to race your way in here.
Yeah, especially with 2 races left, with next week being at Charlotte for a 300-mile race. It's like you said, the battle for the top spot is really close with that 1-point gap. And Keith slipping back a little bit, getting involved in a wreck early on. And it's close throughout this whole entire top 18, in my opinion. I think anyone still has a chance, especially if you get a win and kind of lock your way into the championship.
Yeah, absolutely. With Colton Freymiller, which I don't believe he is loaded into the session tonight down there in 17th. Rhea Massey in 18th. A little bit of work to do there, but if you're Dennis Faircloth, probably on up to about 8th, 9th place where Jake Maki and Noah Mikulski are, you've got a good shot of either racing your way in or possibly falling out. So these guys definitely have their work cut out for them tonight. And Lucas, why don't you tell us a little bit about what these drivers are going to be facing here this evening?
Yeah, so we'll take a quick look at our track map here. We're at Dover International Speedway that opened up May 19th of 1969 in Dover, Delaware. It's a 1 mile track with 24 degrees of banking in the corners and 9 degrees on the front stretch. 4 corners, and it's a concrete track, so be very, very careful, especially with this modified setup with tire wear. We've heard drivers talk about it all night tonight so far in practice, getting into the single digits on tire wear. So if the drivers can conserve their tires, they might have a great shot. As we also quickly go into our race analysis, 175 laps with a pit road speed of 35 miles an hour. 5 tire sets available to these drivers, 3 green-white checkers, 80% fuel, which is about 56 to 59 laps, and it's a modified setup by the admins over here at BTDY.
Yeah, we definitely appreciate the extra work that the admins have put in, working on these setups, trying to get them a little bit racier. And, you know, that fuel number we saw last week, Bailey Turner just made our predictions look silly. He went 8 laps farther than what we thought he could. And, you know, not saying that somebody couldn't do that tonight, but I have a feeling that these guys are going to want tires before it ever gets to that point. As you had mentioned, the tire wear, something that these drivers have been talking about, seen a couple people talk about it in Discord, that it is a little bit more than what we probably expected here. But Lucas, these guys have got their qualifying laps in. We are ready to set the starting grid here tonight for the VSPEED 175 at Dover. We're going to take a look at our pole award winner, and that is going to be Braxton DeWeese in that 00 car, putting it on pole yet again. He was able to get the pole at Darlington too, I believe. So back to back for him with that. Jeremiah Holt, newcomer to the league, starting alongside in 2nd place. Row number 2, we've got Keith Mayato starting in 3rd with Dennis Faircloth rolling off in P4 tonight. Ryan Gemmel starting in P5 with Brody Hayes in that 37 starting alongside in P6. Taking a look at 7th place, we've got Jonathan Cofield in that 58 rolling off in 7th. 8th place is going to be Rhea Massey. And rounding out our top 10, we've got Eric Hutton in the 88. Chris Samard, the last to make it into the top 10 in that 77.
Starting the back half of the field, we got Dallas Sullivan in 11th in the 46. And last week's winner, you hit on it, saved 8 more laps of fuel than what we actually expected, is the 24 of Bailey Turner in 12th. And 13th, we have the 03 of Noah Mikulski. And in 14th, we have the 27 of Ryan Phillips. In 15th, we have the 29 of Michael Robinson. And in 16th, the 31 of Jeremiah Hobbs. 17th, we have the 63 of Max Koss. And in 18th, the 55 of Cody Ekins. In 19th, we have the 65 of Jace Coley. And rounding out our top 20, the 54 of Levi Cox.
And as we take a look through the rest of our field, roll it off in 21st is going to be Rob Liedl with Alan Dice next to him in 22nd. Starting at 23rd, Mark Cofield, but also just heard Race Control say he's got an EOL from the last race. He's going to actually be rolling off from the back of the grid. Paul Hahn going to be rolling off in 24th this evening. In 25th, we've got Jake Maki. And in 26th, Todd Giles. Rolling off shotgun on the field, we've got Zach Smith in that 91 car. And that's going to set our field for tonight's race here at Dover. And Lucas, they are still under pacing right now. They were gracious enough to add an extra pace lap so that we could make sure to give all of our drivers on the starting grid a fair shout out here as we got rolling tonight. Appreciate the admins doing that for us. So since we've got an extra minute here, I got to ask you, I'm going to put you on the spot. Who are you looking at for your driver to watch tonight, Lucas?
So I've raced with this person in a different league, and he's been mad fast over there in the Cup Series. I'm gonna go with the 88 of Eric Hutton tonight. He's shown a lot of speed at other tracks, and I think he can save tires pretty decently. So I got my eyes on the 88 of Eric Hutton here tonight.
Well, I think that is a pretty solid pick there. I'm going to go just a little bit farther up the grid, 2 rows up, that number 6 car of Ryan Gemmel. He got to make a real-life ARCA start, living the dream at Watkins Glen for Nimco Motorsports. Shout out to him for that opportunity. And you know what? I don't remember the last time I've seen him race over here, but I know he's a mainstay in this series, been here for a long time, and I think he's going to be able to get the job done here this evening. But folks, we've got them lined up. The pace car is getting ready to pull off. They've got the lights off. We've got them lined up 14 rows deep, 2 by 2. As you can see there, Barney has the green flag in hand as they come through 3 and 4. And we're going to fire off 175 laps here at Dover. Green flag is in the air for the VSPEED 175. So you can see a lot of really good side-by-side racing. Braxton DeWeese able to get the jump for the lead. He is easily cleared. Keith Mayato up to second now. Dennis Faircloth in third. Ryan Gemmel battling in that 4th spot side by side with Jeremiah Holt. They were thinking about 3 wide off of 4 there, but thought better of it and get it filed back 2 by 2.
Yeah, looking at that 6th position, it's a battle for 5th. And after that, it's kind of double file throughout the whole field, with the top 5 already starting to single file out and running that bottom, trying to save as much tires as they can as we're side by side off turn 4.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the balance that you're going to see here tonight, because Dover could be a hard track to pass at. So I think you're going to see these guys try to keep that track position. So you can see somebody like Jeremiah Holt there gets into the wall just a little bit off of 2, trying to keep that momentum up on the high side. You can defend really well here, but it's going to cost you a little bit of tire wear. So we'll see how these guys balance that. They almost made contact again there, Lucas.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see how this middle line starts to play out. It's like you said, it eats up tires, and as the run goes on, it gets harder and harder to stop the car from going up into the wall on the exit of these corners, Daniel.
Yeah, that's always the big thing here is just, is it going to be bottom groove dominant? Are you going to be able to move around? You see Brody Hayes there working by Jeremiah Holt. We've also got Chris Samard to his inside, Bailey Turner. Running a little Chase Elliott throwback there. I've got something else I could say about that scheme, that he didn't quite beat Kyle Busch here when he ran that scheme in 2017, but I'm just going to leave that one at what I said it at there.
Yeah, a nice looking paint scheme nevertheless from Bailey Turner. He normally runs a Jeff Gordon paint scheme, if I'm not mistaken here, Daniel.
Yeah, he does break out the Jeff Gordon schemes a lot, but switching it up a little bit with the Chase Elliott 24. Take a look a little bit further back here. We've got Jeremiah Hobbs, Levi Cox, side-by-side 4th position. This just outside the top 10. Able to single file it out for now. Looks like got another little battle brewing back there behind them with Cody Atkins, Ryan Phillips, and Noah Mikulski all over top of each other. Throw Dallas Sullivan in with that as well.
Yeah, you saw somebody get a little bit loose. I want to say it was Dallas Sullivan that got loose on the exit of turn 2, which is kind of checking up these drivers in the back as they're starting to single file out, as Alan Dice is now looking to the inside of Rob Liedl.
Yeah, Alan Dice in that good-looking paint scheme that he's got there, featuring his own band on it, actually. Nice little nice little scheme that I believe Dennis Faircloth threw together for him. So a cool connection that he's got with that. But yeah, you mentioned it. These drivers, they're going to be fighting loose the whole race. One of the things that we touched on pre-race was just how, you know, the admins of this series have been working to make these setups a little more drivable. The ARCA car can get pretty tight. That's really the biggest thing, is that they're trying to free them up. And I'm wondering if that may allow some people to be able to run those upper grooves and make this more of a multi-groove track, kind of like what we saw at Richmond.
Yeah, it would be really nice if we can have that middle line kind of come to fruition with how they modify these setups to make it looser for the drivers. Be a lot of side-by-side action, but as of right now, everything's single file out. As I say that, the Bullfrog of Jeremiah Holt, rather, we got two Jeremiahs in here, and is looking on the outside of Eric Hutton, and it gets really tight off the corner.
Yeah, really good battle side by side here for ninth. Jeremiah Holt able to hold on to it for now as the battle for P10 is on behind him. See Jonathan Cofield racing his way up. And, you know, something that we haven't touched on just yet, there is going to be a competition caution at lap 25. So these guys, you know, we've been talking about the tire wear, but there'll be a competition caution here that you can kind of go a little bit harder than maybe you really want to. Come in and check that tire wear. They got quite a few extra sets in the pits tonight. So if you're going to get up there and try something, now is the time to do it before you hit a really long green flag run.
Yeah, that is really true. 5 extra sets in the pits. And it's like I also said in the pre-race, someone ran 44 laps and the right front tires, it looks like Noah Mahalski's looking to the inside of Cody Atkins right now.
Yeah, good side-by-side battle there. Cody with the momentum up top, and you could see just how loose that 0-3 car was on corner exit there, and that is what makes passing so difficult at this racetrack, is just you get that top groove up there, they've got all the momentum, it's just really hard to make that pass and complete it on the bottom. As you can see here, Eric Hutton isn't shying away from trying. He is going to try to take that ninth spot away from Jeremiah Holt.
Yeah, it's been really, really hard to pass as of right now. We'll have to see what it's like with the tire fall off, as they're still side by side, as Eric Hutton falls into the hands of Jeremiah Hobbs now. Jeremiah is running 9th and 10th right now. But it's like I was saying before that side by side started. We had one driver who ran 44 laps, and his right front tire got all the way down to 8%. So, luckily, they have enough tires for this race, as we have 3 rows deep, side by side, about to be 4 rows deep, with the front row being Jonathan Cofield looking to the inside of Eric Hutton.
Yeah, Levi Cox thinking about 3 wide here. He is to the inside. He's going to send it on the bottom. They think better of it. They get it sorted out. Well, I say that, but they're actually still 3 wide, because Dallas Sullivan up there in the Larson line as Jonathan Cofield goes around and takes out his dad in the process, the 97 of Mark Cofield. That is just classic Dover right there, as we're going to cue this up on the replay and see exactly what happened here. We had the camera on it when it first started, but you can see 3 wide there. Dallas Sullivan with a huge run up on the top. Just a little bit of contact between the 0-3, the 58. 58 goes around, comes back up into traffic, and that is the danger of Dover. It's just somebody coming back up in front of you, and you just have absolutely nowhere to go.
Yeah, it's like you said in the pre-race. It's a self-cleaning track. And for these drivers that came in behind, which is actually Jonathan's dad, who had really nowhere to go, and really, as we're right on board with Mark Cofield coming out of the corner, riding behind the 25, he sees it and just has nowhere to go.
Yeah, that was a really good view just to see exactly how fast things happen here, and just a little bit more house cleaning on that, or housekeeping, however you want to say it. Rob Liedl was also caught up in that. He is currently showing in 27th with a meatball. Jonathan Cofield did tow. Mark Cofield still out there rolling, but that is also going to serve as our competition caution. As you can see, drivers on pit road, the race off. It looks like DeWeese able to maintain the lead with that battle off of pit road. So I'm really curious to see how these guys do now that they've had that first run. Just about 20 laps, little under, and we could already see how they were starting to struggle.
Yeah, I want to say Todd Giles actually stayed out there, or might have just missed pit road, as it looks like he's coming down now. So Braxton DeWeese wins the race narrowly over Keith Mayato off of pit road. So Braxton, Keith will be our front row. Brody Hayes and then Dennis Faircloth will be row number 2. Levi Cox and Ryan Gimmel will be row number 3. Ray Massey and Bailey Turner, row 4. Chris Samard and then Jeremiah Hall will be our top 10 for this restart.
Yes, sir. As you can see, 1 to go, lights out on the pace car. And real quick, before we get back to green here, just want to give a shout out, see some people that are out there in the YouTube chat interacting with us. See Rick Gemmel out there saying, let's go racing. Chris DeWeese out there rooting on Braxton DeWeese. And I don't know what your actual name is. Sunnyside Up Art saying, let's go Hutton number 88. We appreciate all y'all out there. If there's any more of you out there in the VSPEED chat watching, make sure to like and subscribe. Let us know who you're rooting for. We appreciate the support. But as you can see, lights out on the pace car. They are lined up, ready to get rolling again. Braxton DeWeese going to be our control car here as he is going to lead us into that restart zone, waiting on the pace car to make that hard left-hand turn. Barney's got the green flag in hand again. As they come down to that restart zone. Green flag back in the air. Braxton DeWeese gets the jump. He's going to be clear, heading down into turn 1, side by side. Well, they were side by side. Brody Hayes clears into P2, and he is on the back bumper of that 00, looking for the lead off of 2.
Yeah, as it looks like he's starting to single file out pretty quickly here. As I say that, Brody Hayes still looking to the inside of Braxton DeWeese, and I think he's going to get there to the quarter panel of Braxton DeWeese going into turn 1 with a run out of turn 4.
Yeah, Brody Hayes got a big run off of 4. It looks like he is going to be able to clear for the lead. New leader, 37. Keith Mayato in the 36, looking to take over second. And we've got Dennis Faircloth, Levi Cox also on the bottom. And it looks like they are starting to hang out the 00 as he got into the wall just a little bit there off of 4.
Yeah, went from hero to 4th in 1 lap. That's how easy it is to lose spots here, especially if you get shuffled out like Braxton DeWeese did there with the run that everybody got out of turn 4.
Yeah, and I think that was probably a smart move by Braxton DeWeese. Once you get up there, you can defend, but if you have a general idea of what the tires are going to look like, if that tire wear really is quite as bad as what we had seen some people talking about, you might be better off to just not fight it, take your lumps. Still got 150 laps left in this race. Slot into P4 and see if you can get him back a little bit later here.
Yeah, which I think that all the drivers are understanding how bad tire wear is now, because the entire field, first all the way to 25th, is now running single file right now, just trying to save their stuff as Levi Cox kind of pushes up the track in 3 and then does a late apex coming out of turn 4.
Yeah, and he's got a little bit of a run here. Going to look to the inside of that 00 of Braxton DeWeese. And looks like Braxton gave him plenty of room there. Not going to put up a big fight. Levi Cox up into 4th. And, we keep talking about these guys saving tires. Lucas, I can tell you one thing. If you were out there racing with them tonight, you would be able to put that 8% on the right front to shame. There ain't nobody I've ever seen that can burn a tire up quite like you.
Yeah, I feel like I could probably do it in about 15 laps. Did another race in a VSPEED broadcast. As Levi Cox is now looking to the inside of Dennis Faircloth. But I was running Saturday Night Racing League, which is broadcasted on here on VSPEED. It was the Gen 4 cars at Las Vegas. And in that race, in the practice session, I ran 7 laps, and that right front was already down to 70% left on that right front, and then 80% on the right rear. So I feel like I wouldn't make it too far here tonight, Daniel.
Yeah, I still have no idea how you did that, but it's impressive nonetheless. Take a look here. Top 5 still single file. Dennis Faircloth tucked up right behind the 36 car. Take a look a little bit farther back here. Kind of our best of the rest as the top 5 have started to break away a little bit. Ryan Gimbel with a little bit of a gap there over Bailey Turner in 7th. Graham Massey, Chris Savard, Jeremiah Holt rounded out the top 10. You know, even though they're, well, we say they were single file, but the 88, Eric Hutton looking to the inside of Jeremiah Holt, trying to get into that top 10. Even when they were single file, you could see they're all right up on one another as they make some contact off of 2. 73 and the 88, little bit of door banging there off of 2.
Yeah, these two drivers have been basically glued together all race long so far. And I think we're kind of seeing two different mindsets come to fruition as Eric Hutton looks back to the inside of Jeremiah Holt. I think the top 5 are just kind of going as fast as they can right now, and then using the track to hold their position later on. And then Ryan Gimmel is kind of running a very conservative pace, trying to make sure not to slide the tires or anything like that to save as much as they can, as Chris Samard was looking to the inside of Ray Massey.
Yeah, that's a good possibility. I know from the time that I've raced over here in BTDY that all those drivers that you see that have those VSPEED logos on the car, they are really good at saving tire. I don't know if they're sharing secrets over there or what. I've seen Ryan Gimmel has been really good at that with the long runs over time as well. So there's a lot of guys here that know how to manage that, and I think that is going to be one of the keys here this evening, as even though these cars are a handful, it seems like this race kind of has a bit of that green flag feel to it from what we've seen so far.
Yeah, it's like you said, from what we've seen, it does have a very green flag feel tonight, with the drivers was running pretty aggressive as we've seen in the past races coming to the stage. But as soon as the second stage kind of starts after that competition caution, they really simmer out pretty well and have a lot of green flag racing, as Cody Atkins was looking the inside of Michael Robinson, and Michael got in the wall a little bit on that front straightaway.
Yeah, Michael able to hold that position for now. I made a little bit of a promise to driver 55 there that I wasn't going to say a whole lot about him tonight because I put the broadcaster curse on him the last time that I did. So, Lucas, let's put the camera on somebody else before we mess him over again. Don't want to make a repeat of last week. Good little battle between 3 cars here under a blanket. Bailey Turner, Ray Massey, Chris Samard battling for 7th, 8th, and 9th between the 3 of them. And, you know, I got to think somebody like Bailey Turner, we saw him play that strategy card last week with the fuel mileage. I got to think that we might be able to see him do a little bit more of that this week, except it might be a little bit of tire saving instead of the fuel saving.
Yeah, with how long a fuel run is, and with it already being 150 laps left when we had that competition caution, and a fuel run lasting about 55 to 58 laps, it's going to definitely be more tire saving than fuel saving. Drivers might actually opt to take an extra pit stop here. It really depends on how this race decides to play out.
Yeah, it definitely could come into play. Let's take a look a little bit farther back. We have still got a really good battle for position involving Michael Robinson, driver 55 that I am not going to name, and Noah Mikulski right there ahead. You can also throw Jace Cully, Dallas Sullivan, Jeremiah Hobbs. They're all right there under a blanket together. Even throw Ryan Phillips in with that as well. Looks like they got her single filed out for now, but as I say that, here goes Jace Cully looking to the inside of Michael Robinson, and they're also side by side with Sullivan and Hobbs behind.
Yeah, as the battle between Michael Robinson and Jace Cully settle out, and the battle between Dallas Sullivan and Jeremiah Hobbs kind of settle out, What do you say we go on board with one of these drivers, Daniel, to see what these drivers are doing to try to save tires as much as they can?
I am a big fan of that idea. I'll even let you do dealer's choice. You can tell us who we're going on board with here as we ride along with the 77 of Chris Samard. See our telemetry over there on the bottom left-hand corner. And, you know, he looks like he's got it pretty well planted into the track. We had seen a lot of drivers early on in that first stint that were really sideways. And as we say that, he's going to give the wall a little love tap off of 4. But overall, it doesn't look like he's fighting that really sideways, wicked loose condition that we saw a lot of others fighting earlier.
Yeah, as he lets Eric Hutton go by, as Eric Hutton got the run out of turn 2, and just lets him by to go back to what he was doing best, of saving tires. And it's like you said, these VSPEED guys are probably one of the best, if not the best, at saving tires here at any track that they go. And Ryan Gimmel has now caught the top 5 and is now in the top 5 after passing Levi Cox.
Yeah, you had talked about it. You hit the nail on the head, Lucas. Was Ryan Gimmel just pacing himself earlier, able to get up into that top 5? He is looking to the inside of that 00 of Braxton DeWeese. And I think the thing that's most impressive with watching him is actually Braxton going to look to the inside of the 80 of Dennis Faircloth and see if he can complete that pass. Not quite. No, he was able to clear. Really good move out of the 00. But what's impressing me is somebody like Gimmel. I mean, you can see he's coming up off the bottom just a little bit, but he's still able to really wrap that bottom and carry a lot of speed around this track. Just speaks volumes to how he was able to manage his tires early on, as he's up into 4th now.
Yeah, and it's like you said, Ryan Gimmel actually ran the ARCA race at Watkins Glen this past weekend, and he's actually running the same exact paint scheme as he did in that Watkins race. So it's always nice to see some familiar names in BTDY actually get a shot in ARCA and do a pretty well job at Watkins Glen, because Watkins Glen, you actually have to turn right there. And I want to say last season, he actually ended up getting a top 5 out of it.
I believe you are right. I do know that he did run there at Watkins Glen, and I know Rick Gimmel is out there in the chat right now. He might be able to let us know if we're correct on that, but I believe he did score a top 5 there last season. And also, speaking of our chat out there, see Rob Liedel out there in the chat confirming too much damage. We're done. Unfortunate ending for him this evening. Definitely not of his doing. Just getting caught up in another mess, but an early end to the night for him as well. Let's take a look back here. That's Bailey Turner working his way up. He's on the inside of Dennis Faircloth. He's going to take that position, move Bailey Turner up into 6th. And we've officially hit that point of the run where we've gone longer than we did on that first green flag stint. So this is where I would expect to see, as you would hear him say on some of the real life broadcasts, you're going to see some comers and goers here. You're going to see guys that manage their tires starting to move up through the field. You see guys that maybe pushed a little too hard early that are going to start to fall back a little bit here.
Yeah, we're definitely going to see a bunch of comers and goers, and as of right now, it's that back half of the top 5 with Levi Cox, Dennis Faircloth, who were pulling away with Keith Mayato and Brody Hayes. And now you're starting to see the drivers who were really just managing their stuff start to catch these guys, as Keith Mayato and Brody Hayes have a 1.5-second gap over P3 of Braxton DeWeese right now.
Yeah, and it's just been a really impressive drive from Hayes and Mayato, both here to this point. You can see they are pacing each other really well. And like you mentioned, out almost a full 2 seconds over the rest of the field. So, you know, whether they're saving or not, you can't really tell with the pace that they've got as of right now.
Yeah, you saw the gap coming out of turn 2 there. About a few seconds before Braxton DeWeese is even into frame So if these two drivers of Brody Hayes and Keith Mayato can keep this pace up, as we just had a lead change between the two, so Brody Hayes might have felt like he was burning his stuff up. Let Keith Mayato set the pace for him as their VSPEED teammates. So we'll see what this driver swap for the lead can do.
Yeah, you saw it. That was a really good move out of Keith Mayato. He was able to get that run and take that lead away. Looking back a little bit farther back here in the pack, another good battle for position here. Levi Cox, you've got Eric Hutton, Dennis Faircloth, all right there together. I believe Massey I believe he's already gotten around them for position. I could be mistaken there, but really tight battle between these guys in the back half of the top 10.
Yeah, it's been really impressive so far. And with how clean the racing has been, with only that one caution before we even had our competition caution, because it actually became our competition caution, which had 3 wide coming out of turn 2, and it just didn't work out. But ever since then, we really haven't had anything major. No drivers had to really save it, besides the car getting a little bit loose off corner exit. So I'm really impressed with this race so far, Daniel.
Yeah, these guys have been doing a really good job with managing everything. And just to wrap up something we were talking about a moment ago, Rick Gemmel out there in the chat said that Ryan had a P8 at Watkins Glen last year, P5 at Lime Rock this June, and P6 at the Glen last Friday. So 3 really strong results for Ryan. Hopefully we get to see him out there live on the track a little bit more, carrying those colors out there, same as what he's running on the car tonight. Just a little bit different number out there. But taking a look at a battle here between Ryan Phillips, Noah Michalski. They are really close with each other. They've been side by side a couple of times here as we were watching battles a little bit farther up the track, but looks like they may have gotten it settled out for now. As you can see there at the bottom of the screen, that was Jeremiah Hobbs and Jeremiah Holt, the battle of the JJs, and that got really close there. Jeremiah Hobbs able to take the position from Holt. Dallas Sullivan right in behind, and I think Dallas is about the only one that I've really seen up there consistently running that high line, and man, he used it really well there to set up a pass on Jeremiah Holt in the 73, able to take that position from him.
Yeah, that battle of the Bullfrogs got pretty close coming out of turn 4, and it's like you said, Dallas is running a very late apex. That's why we have a caution out on track right now.
We do indeed have a caution out on the track, and I believe that was the 14 of Todd Giles that was involved in an accident there. He has already towed it back to pit road. Didn't see exactly what happened. I have to queue it up on the instant replay, and not sure if he had already come down pit road or what may have happened here. Take a look a little bit farther back, running by himself. Oh, so it looked like maybe he was just trying to stay out of the way of the leaders there. As you can see, that is actually Keith Mayato directly behind him. So yeah, he comes down to the inside, just trying to stay out of harm's way, and did not work out for him. Just got down there a little too far on the apron and then trying to get it gathered back under control. I can't really fault him there. He was trying to do the right thing, give the leaders plenty of space, just did not work out for the 14 car.
What about this close call for Chris Samard with avoiding the 14 of Todd Giles right here? Very quick reaction time here by Chris.
Yeah, and I know that doesn't look like a lot when you're riding on board, but at that point of the turn where you're already committed and you're already heading towards the apex, to just that little twitch back to the right to miss could really upset the car. So as you mentioned, Lucas, really good wreck avoidance there. We had cars on pit road. Keith Mayato gonna hold the lead. We've got a new second place challenger with Braxton DeWeese up there now in second. Brody Hayes back to third. Taking a look a little bit back at the rest of the top 5, we've got Ray Massey in 4th. Ryan Gemmel going to come out in 5th on this pit cycle.
Yeah, that's going to put VSPEED teammates on the bottom lane. So I'm really interested to see how these three, because I want to say Ryan Gimmel is actually working with these VSPEED guys. So I'm really curious to see how these three drivers work together on this restart.
Yeah, that is a good point, Lucas. He is working with them. As you can see, lights are off on the pace car. You can see the rest of the top 10. You've got Bailey Turner, Eric Hutton, Levi Cox, Chris Samar, Dennis Faircloth. Going to round out your top 10 after this caution and green flag, or I'm sorry, caution and pit cycle rather, as we get ready to go back green here. And one thing I'm going to be curious of now, we've got just over 110 laps to go. We've actually got 113 to go here. Based off of what we saw with the fuel number, if this were to go green to the end, it would be right on that one stop window. So just something to keep in mind if it does end up stringing out and going green here. We'll have to see how everything plays out. As I said, lights are off on the pace car, lined up 2 by 2. Keith Mayato going to lead us down to the green here. As the pace car has pulled off. Just waiting for the leader to get into that restart zone and give us the launch here. Green flag back out. You mentioned it. VSPEED teammates down there on the bottom row. Looks like they were working together a little bit there. Keith Mayato easily clears for the lead. Brody Hayes to second. 00. Braxton DeWeese able to hang on for third. Battles on for fourth and fifth behind them. And then you've got Bailey Turner sneaking up there as well.
Yeah, Bailey Turner, if I am going to be a betting man, I want to say Bailey Turner is going to try to save as much tires as he can here, just so he can one-stop it. Because it's like we said, with some drivers doing 44 laps in practice and having 8% on their tires, I want to say most drivers are going to bet on that two-stop strategy. With the pace falling off about a second and a half during a run, so if Bailey Turner can save these tires, it might play out for him.
Yeah, that's going to be the big thing, and especially, you know, you could try to two-stop it, but the problem is, so you see contact with the wall. Yeah, it was Dennis Faircloth that got into it off of 2 there, but the problem is this pit road is so hard to get off and on, and you're going to lose at least 1 lap if you pit under green, possibly 2, so you don't really want to run that risk of getting trapped down like that if a caution were to come out.
Yeah, that is very true. As we see, one of the drivers in the back, I want to say that is Jeremiah Holt, who got in the wall out of turn 2, and Jace Coley taking advantage, looking to the inside.
Yeah, Jace Coley with Alan Dice, Ryan Phillips right there behind. Jeremiah able to fight back on the outside right now, doing a good job hanging on that outside lane. We talked about it is a lane you could use to defend, carry a little bit of momentum. These two guys not willing to concede just yet. Jeremiah Holt able to maintain the position. He's able to slide back in front of Jace Cully.
Yeah, coming further up through the field, Dennis Faircloth able to put a move on Ray Massey in turns 1 and 2 to get that position for P6. Now trying to set his sights on Ryan Gimmel for that 5th position.
Oh, as Gimmel got really loose off of 4 there. Great job to hang on to it. Dennis Faircloth going to be able to get around in the process, but that could have been absolutely huge. Really quick hands out of the 6 car there. And, you know, we saw this from Dennis Faircloth on that first run. He had a lot of short run speed. He did start to fall off a little bit as the run went on, so I'd be curious to see if he's able to find a little bit better balance this time around. But as it stands right now, it looks like he's just out there letting her rip. He is making up a lot of time. He restarted right about 10th place on that last restart, and he's already found his way up into 4th here. So that 80 car is on the move right now.
Yeah, he looks like me out there, but I'm really curious with how the tires will look after, because it looks like he's pushing really hard, which is something I would do, which is why I made that comparison. So I'm really interested to see how his tires hold up, as now he's looking to the inside of Levi Cox for that podium position of P3.
Oh, and it got really tight there off of 4 between Dennis Faircloth, Levi Cox. So Brody Hayes into that as well. Levi looking to the outside, trying to get some momentum to get up there alongside that 37. Not quite able to get up there just yet. But, yeah, you mentioned it. If that was you out there, though, I think you'd have her a little more sideways than some of these guys do right now. Thought the 54 was going to be able to clear, but Brody Hayes, with the momentum up top, was able to fight back. Levi Cox now able to complete that pass. He's going to move up into that second place.
Yeah, what I've always been told, which of course I run different types of racing, whether it's drifting, Formula One, or rally and stuff like that. If your car isn't 45 degrees, you're not going fast enough. That's a motto I kind of live by.
Can confirm. I've raced with you enough to know that that's true. What I always tell you, you go 3 wide by yourself. So, yeah, same idea. But, yeah, these guys have gotten singled out now. Looks like a little bit of a gap forming here between our top 4 cars. Dennis Faircloth gets into the wall just a little bit there off of 4. Taking a look a little bit back farther through the field around our 9th, 10th place drivers with Eric Hutt and Chris Samard. Really tight battle between these guys. Bailey Turner right there in front of them. And you mentioned it, Lucas, with Bailey trying to save tire. Maybe what he's doing here, he's lost a couple of spots since that restart, but if he's playing the long game, this may end up coming back to him. We've also got Michael Robinson back there just outside the top 10 trying to fight his way in.
Yeah, one thing that is different than the last time we had that long green flag run is this second pack, it's a lot closer to the top 5, so I'm kind of interested to see what the driver's mindset is. I know you said that Bailey Turner has lost a few spots since that restart, but I still think the tires may be pretty even between the top 5 and the rest of the field just by how close these drivers are.
Yeah, that's a good possibility, and, you know, something to keep an eye on here as we go throughout the rest of the race is that tire wear and what these guys are fighting. But yeah, you're right. I mean, the battle between these guys at the back half of the top 10, it's really tight between them, and they haven't given up quite as much ground as they did on that first run. See Michael Robinson there looking to the inside of Chris Samard, going for that 10th spot, and he is going to be able to clear through 3 and 4.
Yeah, I think this second pack kind of realized as Jeremiah Hobbs looking to the inside now on Chris Samard is they let the top 5 drivers kind of pull away, which had Keith Mayato and Brody Hayes pull out to about a 2.5 second lead over third place as the driver that you don't want to name, basically you're Voldemort, Daniel. Cody Atkins is now making a pass on Chris Samard, and now Noah Maholsky looking to the inside of Chris Samard.
Yeah, I wish I had the slightest idea what Voldemort is.
You've never seen Harry Potter?
I've never watched a single one of them.
Oh.
Anyway, so that's the fun fact for the evening is that I have never seen Harry Potter, but I've seen a lot of racing, and we've got some good racing going on here. As that was Jace Cully at the top of the screen. He was just ahead of Jeremiah Holton at 73, and he smacked the wall pretty good off of turn 4 that time around. And they've still got a battle for position going on here. Jace Cully not giving up. Drops it back on the inside of that 73, and he is still getting after it even after that wall contact.
Yeah, you saw Jeremiah Holt kind of looked like he forced him down just a little bit, and which made Jace Coley push up in 3 and 4, but Jeremiah Holt still able to hold that 16th position.
Yeah, able to fight off for now. Jace Cully looking back to the inside. Got another good run there, but just so loose off of turn 4. Not able to hold that position as you see Ryan Phillips there behind trying to get a run. Let's take a look a little bit further back up the running order here. And that's going to be Ryan Gemmel in that 6 car. He is going back after P5 here. He gets around Dennis Faircloth. And this is kind of what we saw in that first run. Dennis had that really good short run speed, but it looks like some of these guys are starting to come back to him a little bit here. as we get a little bit farther into this green flag run. Currently 23 laps on the tires, where we would expect some of these guys to start struggling a little bit here. But Lucas, one thing we have not talked about as of yet tonight is the weather for this race. And as you can see up there, 82 degrees, track temp 106, not quite as hot as I've seen it at some races here at Dover. So that'll help these drivers out a little bit with the tire wear. But man, if they had this track temp cranked up to about 130, these guys would really be fighting these cars tonight.
Yeah, that is definitely true. Me and you have had numerous races here at Dover, and I've seen it up all the way up to 140 with some of the races here. So 106 for a concrete track is actually pretty cool, but it still lowers the grip for the cars to the concrete here.
I've been to some races in real life at Dover that felt like it was about 140 degrees. So yeah, can't confirm. It is not always the most pleasant when you go there, but a little bit easier. Well, I'm not going to say easier. A little bit more favorable conditions for these guys this evening. As you see here, another good battle for position. Michael Robinson able to take 9th place from Dennis Faircloth. Jeremiah Hobbs right behind, as well as driver 55, he who shall not be named for fear of a broadcaster curse. Doing a really good job getting up there. Borderline top 10 right now, Lucas.
Yeah, and one thing I want to point out real quick, Dennis Faircloth was all the way up to P3. 5 laps later, he's all the way back to 10th position. So if I'm Dennis, I'm kind of leaning towards that 2-shot strategy right now and using your short run speed to your advantage with the pace. As we take a quick look here on our ticker, has already fallen off 0.8 of a second, even for the leader. So Dennis Faircloth isn't the only one that has fallen off during this run. So maybe a two-stop strategy will work here.
Yeah, and you mentioned that 0.8 of a second for the leader, but looking at Dennis's lap times, just a little over a second is what he has fallen off right now, about 1.1. So a little bit more fall off out of that 80 car, like you mentioned, but good short run speed, just showing the differences in the driving styles and how you can make a difference with just managing your equipment. As Jeremiah Hobbs looking to the inside, he's going to try to complete that pass. Not quite able to just yet. Dennis fighting tough on the outside. It looks like Jeremiah going to have enough momentum in that 31 car. He's going to be able to slide up, but boy, was he sideways off of 4.
Yeah, that was a really close call for everyone behind Jeremiah Hobbs, Dennis Faircloth, Cody Atkins, Noah Maholsky, because if he would have got turned, there was nowhere for those drivers to go. So a really good save from Jeremiah there.
I'm telling you, if you're driver 55 right there, you got to be thinking when you see somebody sideways in front of you off of the corner like that, is it looked like Dennis actually got into the wall a little bit right beside Cody Atkins. So a little bit more trouble here for the 80 car as we take a look a little bit further up the pecking order. Up here at our top 5, we've still got Braxton DeWeese running in 3rd, Levi Cox close behind in 4th, Ryan Gimmel in 5th. And it looks like Ryan Gimble's starting to make a little bit of ground here, closing in a little bit on these guys. Been able to put a little bit of a gap on our 6th, 7th, and 8th place runners there. He's starting to put some pressure on that 54 car.
Yeah, he definitely is. And last green flag run that we had, the top 5 pulled away. This time, 3 more cars have joined the battle of Ryan Gimmel, Bailey Turner, and Eric Hutton rounding out the top 8. And then it's a 2.5 seconds back to Jeremiah Hobbs and Noah Maholsky and Cody Atkins. So I'm really interested to see what these 2 different strategies are, as Ryan Gimmel is now looking to the inside of Levi Cox.
Yeah, Ryan Gimmel able to get some momentum there. They are side by side. Levi Cox pulled a little bit of ground back with that line that he was running in 3 and 4. It looks like Ryan going to be close, not quite able to clear just yet. It's the highest that I think I've seen that 54 car running so far today. And he was able to carry that momentum off of 2 and keep the fight going for P4 right here. You see Ryan Gimmel was really loose off of 4 also.
Yeah, one thing you have to worry about with running that high up the track is all the marbles that collect up there. As you kind of see it in the corner of the screen, it the marbles lose traction when you run up there for so long. It just gets on the tires with how hot and sticky they are, and going into the corner, whether you're on the top or the bottom, you just lose corner exit grip from my experience. But Levi Cox doing a really good job running through the marbles.
Yeah, that's really impressive that he was able to make that high line work, and not even just the high line. That is just about the Larson line up there that he was running. So I'm with you. I'm kind of surprised that it worked as well as it did. As you can see, Ryan Gimmel giving it everything she's got there off of turn 4. I thought I saw a puff of smoke, but they are 3 wide. Ryan Gimmel's going to think better of it. He's going to back out of the middle of that mess and see if he can regather himself here. It's Ray Massey going to the inside of that 54. He is on the move. He's trying to get up there and throw his hat in the ring to say, I want to chase down these top 3 runners.
Yeah, Ray Massey doing a really good job trying to work around Ryan Gimmel and Levi Cox. Currently to the inside of Ryan Gimmel. Well, I'm really interested to see what Ray Massey can do for these front runners.
Yeah, it's going to be, as we've seen, it's just so hard to complete that pass down there on the bottom. Oh, as Ryan Gimmel gets into the wall, that was a pretty good hit there off of turn 4. That's going to allow the 23 Ray Massey, the 24 of Bailey Turner, and the 88 of Eric Hutton. Going to allow all 3 of them to get by. Ryan Gimmel going to have to cool it back down a little bit here and try to get her back under control. As we take a look a little further back here, just outside the top 10, this is the battle for 11s. We've got Noah Michalski, we've got Cody Atkins, and we have got Dallas Sullivan that are able to, or that are battling for this position here.
Yeah, Cody Atkins hasn't had the best few races as of late. We saw him start running this blackout 55 last week at Darlington. So he's having a really good run so far, about in the 11th position with that pass on Noah Michalski. So maybe his luck can turn around here at Dover tonight.
Oh, I certainly hope it does. He has been snake bitten this entire season. This battle's not over, though. Noah Michalski going back to the inside, battling for that position. They are still throwing haybakers back and forth at each other here. Noah able to take that position back. Dallas Sullivan slots in just behind him in that 46 car. And then you got Chris Samard, and you've got Dennis Faircloth right there behind as well.
Yeah, going up towards the front of the field. No, Ray Massey is now running that top lane with Bailey Turner looking to the inside. And we've touched on it all night. It's really, really hard to actually pass the driver on the bottom here at Dover tonight. And the only way you've really been able to get around them is if they make a mistake on corner exit, getting into the wall, getting loose or something like that, or they just let you by.
Yeah, and that's really not a bad strategy. Sometimes you just got to put some pressure on somebody, keep their mirrors full, and see if you can kind of force them into a mistake. Not that you're really trying to make them ruin their race or anything like that, but you know, just get them off their game just enough to where you can kind of take advantage of it. You can kind of see that a little bit out of Bailey Turner there. He was just running so close with the 88 behind, and both of these guys just giving it everything they've got right now. Definitely fighting the handling of these cars, as well as we are 45 laps into this run.
Yeah, so some of these drivers are definitely begging for grip right now, as Ryan Gimmel is now looking to the inside of Eric Hutton. Both of our picks here tonight, Daniel, running in the 7th and 8th position.
Yeah, really solid run for both of those guys tonight. Been up there flirting with the top 5 and doing a really good job with this battle. Going to stick with this here for a little bit. This is really the closest battle that we've got on track right now, as these guys have kind of single filed out a little bit. Keep an eye on these 3. So, yeah, just a really tight battle between the three of them. You see Eric Hutton slides up the track just a little bit. Ryan Gemmel doing a really good job holding that car on the bottom, but just not a lot of momentum to try to hold. Just trying to keep everything wound up. Oh, that was Ryan Gemmel, bounced off the wall there off of turn 4. Seen that a few times out of him here so far, but able to get it gathered back up. So a really good save out of him. Let's take a look here. It looks like we have got a yellow flag actually out on the track. Did not catch what may have happened there. Have to go back and take a look at who got caught up in that. Not quite seeing what may have happened here.
I think it was Jeremiah Holt. So we'll take a quick look here.
Yeah, I believe you are right, Lucas. I was just taking a look back there, trying to see what happened. Oh, you've got it queued up on the replay, and it looked like Jace Cully caught a lot of the wall off of turn 4 there in that 65 car. And these two have been battling really hard all night. See Jeremiah Holt, slides up the track. Jace Cully goes to the inside here. I think we're going to see some contact. Yeah, just ran out of room between the two drivers there. And just really hard racing between the 73 and the 65. Jeremiah Holt definitely getting the worst of that. Going to take a look on board here with Jace Cully and see what it looked like from his angle. Just, that's really hard to say if maybe he got the clear call or he thought that the 73 was going to have enough momentum to carry it off of corner exit, but just unfortunate timing there. And Jeremiah Holt definitely with the worst of that.
Yeah, when we rode on board, you heard Jace Coley get out of the throttle as much as he could. So I don't think he had that clear call and he knew it. The car with just how all of these tires were made him push up the track up into Jeremiah Holt, and that's a night ender for Jeremiah Holt.
Yeah, looking at our timing and scoring here, it shows that Jeremiah Holt does have a meatball, so that is, in fact, going to end his night. No fast repairs here in this series. But as you can see here, these drivers are lined up 2 by 2. We are getting ready to re-rack them, restack them, get them back racing here under green flag conditions. Lights are off on the pace car. Keith Mayato, Brody Hayes on the front row, Braxton DeWeese, Levi Cox starting in 3rd and 4th. And then looking back a little bit farther, we've got Ray Massey, Bailey Turner, Eric Hutton, Ryan Gemmel, Jeremiah Hobbs, Michael Robinson going to round out the top 10 here. And folks, we are starting to get down to the end of it here. We are approaching the back, we'll call it the back quarter of this race. And this is going to be it's going to be a little bit outside of that window as far as the fuel window, at least what we think the fuel window is. We've been shown wrong on that before. But the pace car is off. Barney's got that green flag in hand yet again to turn these drivers loose. Keith Mayato, the control car. Green flag is back out. Keith Mayato with a really good jump there. He is going to clear for the lead. Meanwhile, behind him, Braxton DeWeese, Brody Hayes, side by side for that 2nd position. Levi Cox slotting in 4th. And then we've got Bailey Turner, Ray Massey right behind them in 5th and 6th. It's Levi Cox thinking about making it 3 wide with a run up top. He's going to think better of it, but they are still 2 by 2 for that 2nd position out off of this restart.
Yeah, we saw it on that restart. Brody Hayes spun the tires a little bit, and it's kind of checked up everyone from Braxton DeWeese back as they're now running as double file for about 3 to 4 rows, it seems like Braxton DeWeese gets a clear call as Bailey Turner gets loose out of turn 4.
Yeah, Bailey Turner did a good job getting it reeled back in, though. You see Ryan Gemmel up there on the top. You can see Michael Robinson in that camo 29 car. He's been steadily working his way up the entirety of this race. And finally, firmly inside the top 10, as it looks like Ryan Gemmel catches a little bit of the wall yet again off of turn 4. I think it's about the third or fourth time we've seen that, but so far it doesn't seem like it has hurt that 6 car at all.
Yeah, one thing that is different between this run and then all the other runs, Ryan Gemmel is kind of stuck out to dry in that top line, and we really haven't seen him run that top line very often, so I'm really interested to see how the tire is going to wear for Ryan Gemmel and how he's able to drive back up as we've seen him do time and time again here tonight.
Yeah, and something else that I'm going to be curious to keep an eye on here as we go throughout this run, you know, we had just a shade over 60 laps left when we took the green. So from the best math that we can do, that's outside of the fuel window. Now, we thought everybody was outside of the fuel window last week, and Bailey Turner proved us all wrong. So the question is, if you already know that you're not going to be able to make it on fuel, do you just go out there, say, I'm going to split this last stint in half as Bailey Turner goes to the inside looking for second, see if he can complete this pass on DeWeese? It looks like he's going to be able to make it stick and take P2. But, you know, do you just say, I'm going to split it in half and go out here and just run it till the wheels fall off? Or do you try to save a little bit, run it long, and see if you could maybe catch a caution that we seem to get before the end of all these fuel runs that we've had?
Well, if I was a betting man, Bailey Turner is going to try to stay as close to Keith Mayato as he can right now. With it only being 4 laps longer than what our numbers have for a fuel run, I think he will be able to save that with around 25 laps to go and still have enough to make it. So if Bailey Turner can stay close to Keith, because we've seen him pull out to 2.5 second lead with his teammate Brody Hayes behind him. So I'm really interested to see as Bailey Turner looks really aggressively to the inside of Keith Mayato. We might have side-by-side coming out turn 4.
Yeah, Bailey Turner is the man on a mission right now. He has moved up from, I believe he was restarted in 6th. He is putting a ton of pressure on that 36 of Mayato. They almost make contact off of turn 2. Bailey Turner to the inside, and the battle for the lead is on. This is really the first time we've seen somebody get up there, challenges Mayato, taps the wall. Might have been a little bit more than a tap off of turn 4. They are still side by side fighting for that lead.
Yeah, this is really great stuff between Bailey Turner and Keith Mayato. Now, I want to say this is the first time a VSPEED driver may not lead a lap here tonight at Dover. Mistake me if I'm wrong, Daniel, but I want to say a VSPEED driver got pole here no, it was Braxton DeWeese who got pole. I'll correct myself so you don't have to, but we saw it pretty early. A VSPEED driver gets the lead and then holds it. And now, late in the race, we're going to have somebody who's not on that team challenge for the lead.
Yeah, Bailey Turner going all out right now, trying to get that lead. Keith Mayato able to hang on to it for now, put just a little bit of a gap between himself and Bailey Turner. And I got to wonder if maybe Bailey thought, okay, this might be my opportunity. I can get out here and control the race. Since he wasn't able to make the pass stick, he might just kind of slot in and ride for a little while now. Take a look a little farther back here. That's Dennis Faircloth, Chris Samard, got Michael Robinson, Jeremiah Hobbs, all in the picture. These guys are fighting right now for 9th place, just inside, just actually right around the cut line of that top 10. And Dennis Faircloth up there tried to regain some of that track position that he lost earlier on that last green flag run.
Yeah, if I'm Dennis Faircloth, I'm going to try to focus a little bit more on saving tires with how hard he fell off after only 5 laps, losing 7 positions total before it's all said and done. And Michael Robson gets a little bit loose out of turn 2, trying to make it look on Dennis Faircloth, not able to make it.
Yeah, Michael Robinson, another one. He had actually gained some ground and was up inside the top 10, running in about 7th place. Since lost a few spots just outside of that top 10. So he'll be looking to rebound as we get into the latter stages of the race here, as we close in on 45 laps to go here this evening. And yeah, as you said, Lucas, it's going to be just outside of that fuel window. Going to be really curious to see if they can make it the rest of the way. We've also got a battle for 4th on here between Brody Hayes, Levi Cox, 37-54. Levi able to hang on to it for now, up there in that 4th position.
Yeah, as it's starting to seem like what we've seen all night long, these drivers starting to get single filed out, save their tires for either right now and get after it, or save them and try to use them later on in the race when the other drivers start to get loose here, Daniel.
Yeah, and it seems like, you know, a lot of these guys kind of have the mindset of let's try to get what we can, and let's try to gain some track position once these restarts first take off. And then after that, they're kind of content to just walk some laps, try to save a little bit here. So it seems like that's kind of the point of the run that we have hit, where they're just kind of trying to ride around a little bit here. Of course, just as I say that, Braxton DeWee's going to make a liar out of me. He's going to take P2 from Bailey Turner. He says, I ain't riding around waiting for nothing. I'm going to take his spot.
Yeah, we saw Bailey Turner run the very high line. I'm not too sure if he was waiting for Braxton DeWeese and giving him the spot so he can cool off his tires, or if he had a moment. I'm not too sure what happened there, Daniel.
Yeah, not sure what may have happened there, but Bailey Turner now under fire from a couple of other people behind him. You got Brody Hayes, you got Levi Cox. Bailey Turner starting to drop a little bit here. And, you know, not sure if that's by design or, you know, maybe what he's trying to do here. I'm not saying he's taking a page out of last week's playbook. I'm just saying that I've seen this one before.
Well, how about we say we go on board and listen to Bailey Turner's car to see if he's fuel saving a little bit, pushing that clutch in, going into the corners, and waiting to get on the throttle.
And it doesn't look like, as of right now, that he is, from what we're seeing there, but it looks like he's definitely rolling out of it a little bit earlier. It looks like he's he's not really fighting those positions. It looks like he is trying to just back his corners up. Might be able to just save that naturally without having to, you know, actually clutch it or shut the car off or anything crazy like that.
Yeah. There's multiple different ways that you can save fuel, and if I'm not mistaken, Daniel, you've actually won a fuel-saving race at Nashville Super Speedway, so you might be able to tell us a little bit more.
Yeah, that was one that led me to the saying that sometimes you ain't got to be the fastest guy, you just got to be the smartest. So, and I'm still ain't sure that that was the smartest one that night. I just walked into it, but yeah, you know, there's things that you can do where, you know, sometimes you just lift really, really early, you trail brake it, you don't really use a whole lot of brake, let the car slow itself down. You can shut it off and clutch, and there's a lot of things that you can do to really stretch that tank of fuel. I actually did it once here at Dover also, where I would have made it to the end. There was a late caution that got me the lead, and, you know, that was able to keep me in position. But yeah, that got me the spot that I needed for the green-white checker.
Yeah, I want to say Bailey Turner is saving fuel right now, because as of now, as we look at our ticker, he's running 0.3 off of Keith Mayato's lap time right now, and he's just giving up spots left and right. So I'm really interested, if it goes green, if Bailey Turner fuel saving now is going to let him push at the end and make passes later on.
Yeah, it's a really good question. And, you know, from from where I sit, I'm going to say the same thing that I said last week about it. If that is indeed what he is doing, I like it. If you don't think you have the speed to beat somebody outright on pure pace, I like throwing the Hail Mary. I like trying something a little bit different. Maybe it works out in your favor. And you don't even necessarily need to be able to make it all the way to the end. Maybe you stretch it just long enough to where you catch that lucky caution and get some track position, trap a bunch of people a lap down. So there's a lot of ways that you can make it work out for you.
Yeah, that is definitely true, because at Dover, you go down about a lap and a half, if I'm not mistaken, with how slow this pit road is and how hard it is to get on. Also, you have to crawl at a 35 miles an hour, and it takes forever to get to your pit box. And it gets really, really loose getting on a pit road and getting off a pit road, going from that apron to that banking, Daniel.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And Dover ranks up there with Darlington as far as hardest pit roads in NASCAR, hardest ones to get onto. And I would say this one is a little bit tougher just because the exit is tougher also, whereas Darlington, once you get those fresh tires on, you can kind of just, with the way it's laid out, you can just kind of get back onto it. So definitely something to keep in mind. If I can cut a green flag stop out of the equation at Dover, I'm always a fan of that because I'm pretty good at messing up pit roads. So, yeah, I like that idea. As we look here at a battle for position just outside the top 10, got Dennis Faircloth, got Cody Adkins, Noah Mikulski, all under a blanket right there together, Lucas.
Yeah, all these drivers running very similar lap times and not much of a gap between all of them. Cody Atkins still running just outside of the top 10 right now. Looking inside, Dennis Faircloth, as it gets really tight in the center of the corner. Dennis letting out to not get into the wall. Going to lose 2 positions out of it. And a little bit of door banging between Dennis and Noah Mikulski entering turn 1.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that was actually contact or net code or just the air moving. It looked like there was still a gap between them, but it definitely looked like it affected that 80 car as they went by. But Cody Atkins able to lead that line. Right now to see Jeremiah Hobbs gets into the wall just a little bit behind him off of turn 4. Cody going to look to set sail, take aim at that 77 car and see if he can get up there into the top 10.
Yeah, coming towards the front, we had a pass between Levi Cox and Ray Massey. Levi able to get around Ray Massey for that 4th position, as it looks like everyone's starting to run the top now and go for that late apex in 1 and 2 up front. So I'm really interested to see how that's playing out.
Yeah, that was something that I saw some guys try in practice, was that they would really get up and kind of run that top groove. And it made me wonder if we might see it come into play a little bit here this evening. So far, not quite the way maybe I would have thought that it would have come in, but as we get down near the end of this race, see some guys moving up and trying. As Lucas, our 2 picks, Ryan Gemmel, Eric Hutton, they are side by side for position again. This time it looks like Eric Hutton going to be able to clear for P6. And, as you can see, big moment out of the 54 right there in front of him. Levi Cox looked like he had that thing all but wrecked off of turn 4, but able to get it gathered back in somehow and keeps control and doesn't lose a position out of that.
Yeah, that was a great save by both of them. And Daniel, I'm going to go ahead and ask this question now. If Ryan Gemmel and Eric Hutton gets in a wreck, who's the curse really count for? Or does it count for both of us since you're the king of curses?
It's me. It's always me. Just go ahead and blame me. What's that song that Adele sang? Hello, is it me you're looking for? I think that's what it was. I could be wrong. But yeah, just go ahead and we'll just put that one as another notch in the belt. As we've got a battle for the lead brewing here. Deweese has run down Keith Mayato. You can also throw Brody Hayes into the mix on that. As our pole sitter is saying, I want this lead back. He's looking to the inside of the 36, not quite able to clear. Keith Mayato keeping the momentum up on the top side. He's going to lead him back to the line this time around.
Yeah, as we're seeing, I guess you could say a little bit of reinforcement coming for Keith Mayato and Brody Hayes, and we've seen it time and time again. It's really hard to get clear of that driver up top, but at the disadvantage of the driver running at the top, their tires are going to wear significantly more, as Brody Hayes is going to come and give Keith Mayato a little push entering turn 1. So we'll see if that push from Brody Hayes is able to get Keith Mayato clear of Braxton DeWeese, and both of them are going to get clear out of turn 2.
Oh, and they're thinking about 3 wide here. Brody Hayes in the middle. Braxton DeWeese on the bottom. They make contact. They touch. The 37 is around. Nose into the wall. The yellow flag is out with 20 to go here at Dover. And man, that was tight between our top 3. We're going to take a look at it on the replay here. You can see Brody Hayes had the run down into the turn. Braxton DeWeese was still there. Had just a nose inside, but man, Brody Hayes not going to be happy about the outcome of that one. But man, that's bad. That's just tight battling for the lead here. Going to look on board with Brody Hayes in that 37 here. You see, he just has a massive run off of 2, able to clear the 36 for the lead. Turns down. It looks like he is all but clear right there, but just slight contact. And then when he went to correct it, just turns right back into the wall. And honestly, really fortunate that nobody else got caught up in that as well.
Yeah, really, really fortunate for everyone behind him. And luckily for Brody Hayes, it looked like his engine was still running that 180, so he will be able to carry on. Not too sure how the damage will affect him, but he's definitely going to lose a lot of track position, as it looked like Braxton DeWeese kind of stalled leaving the pit box. Keith Mayato is going to win the race off pit road.
Yeah, Keith Mayato does win the race off pit road, maintains that lead. Braxton DeWeese does come out in second. Looking back a little farther, we've got Levi Cox, Eric Hutton, Ryan Gimbel, your top 5, Ray Massey, Bailey Turner, Michael Robinson, Noah Mikulski, and rounding out the top 10 is going to be Cody Atkins after this round of pit stops. And Lucas, we're inside of 20 laps to go. These guys, all this time we've been talking about fuel strategy and tire strategy and all this other stuff. You just take all that, crumple it up, throw it out the window. None of that matters. We're going to get a restart here inside of 20 to go. What do you think we're fixing to see as they get the 1 to green here?
Qualifying laps. If I was out there right now, I would see 22 drivers running as many qualifying laps as they can to gain positions on everybody else. Daniel, I know you've seen me race multiple times. Every time I see inside 20 to go, inside 15 to go, inside 10 to go, my mindset immediately goes to qualifying pace. So I'm really interested to see which of these drivers can run the most consistent qualifying laps here for this final 20 laps.
And my mind instantly goes to the 2 races that we have been on here together so far this season. The 3 wide for the green-white checker at Richmond, the fuel drama last week at Darlington. Are we in for another fantastic finish? Are we in for more drama at the end? We're about to find out. Pace car makes the hard left on the pit road. We've got Keith Mayato, the control car, Braxton DeWeese in the 00 on the outside. Green flag is in the air. It's like everybody's spinning the tires a little bit there, but Keith Mayato able to clear for the lead. Braxton DeWeese on the outside. He is going to try to keep second, but he has got Levi Cox, Eric Hutton right on the back bumper. DeWeese still able to hold second place, though. He's going to go try to run down that 36 car.
Yeah, as our 2 picks duking it out for 4th position right now. Eric Hutton gets loose out of the corner.
Oh,
Ryan Gimbel makes contact.
3 wide, but what a save. I can't believe they all made it out of there. Sorry, Lucas, wasn't trying to cut you off there, but oh, baby, what a moment out of all 3 of them. Bailey Turner says, hey, thanks, guys. I'm going to go ahead and take those spots. He moves up into 4th. Gemmel hangs on for 5th. Hutton still falling back a little bit here as things are getting wild behind him. They're 3 wide, sorting it out. Man, Eric Hutton definitely on the wrong side of that exchange. Lost a lot of places, still rolling, but definitely not what he was looking for on this restart.
Yeah, definitely not. So I'm going to go ahead and apologize for cursing. Eric Hutton here tonight had a pretty good run in the top 10 as of until late. But coming back up to the front, Braxton DeWeese trying to run back down Keith Mayato with about 14 laps to go here, Daniel.
Yeah, we are getting into the pay window for this race. Braxton DeWeese, Levi Cox, almost bumper to bumper there, coming down the front straightaway for that 2nd place. Keith Mayato not quite checking out. Got about a 1/4 second lead over these guys, and even with them running close together like that, not really pulling away. And actually, Braxton DeWeese started to pull back just a little bit there through 3 and 4. The best thing that 36 could see right now is these guys side by side for position, as we've actually got a caution out on the speedway. 46 of Dallas Sullivan, 13 of Jake Maki, 27 of Ryan Phillips all involved. And that is going to restack them yet again here as we take a look at the VSPEED instant replay. Jace Cully down there on the bottom, Jake Maki up top. See what happens here. Oh, the 13 just runs out of room on corner exit. And I believe that was the 91 of Zach Smith that got caught up in that too. A lot of cars tore up near the back part of the field there on that wreck. Let's take a look on board here. Get a bird's eye view of what happened with this wreck. This is I believe this is the 91 we are riding on board with here. You're going to see everything kind of break out in front of them. And, oh, yeah, from his viewpoint, it looks like they all got it gathered up. Next thing you know, somebody turns left and you got a car broadside in front of you. So not really much that Zach Smith could do there from his vantage point.
Yeah, that's a really tough break for Jake Maki. The Banky was really, he qualified in the back half, and it's just been a really tough night for him to try to gain track position. And we had a few takers on pit road, I think, Daniel, correct me if I'm wrong, with Max, Alice, Alan Dice, and Paul Hahn. So, interested to see what they can do with the fresh tires. And when we went green, we heard me talking about qualifying laps. Well, one driver who was running the fastest laps, Bailey Turner, in the 4th position, ran the fastest laps back to back. So he's going to be rolling from the 4th position on this restart. Really interested to see what Bailey Turner can do.
Yeah, the big thing to me for Bailey Turner is how much of a detriment is it going to be restarting on that outside lane? We've seen, if you're not the control car and you're restarting on the outside, it just seems like you can't get a really good launch up there, which is going to hinder Bailey from being able to get a good launch as well. So that's really the big thing to me. And if he can make up a spot or two in this first turn as they go back green, that'll help out a little bit here as well.
Yeah, we've seen that second driver spin the tires every restart, because it's really hard to time out here with how steep this banking is and the corners, and how short that restart is with it being in the corner as well. And they don't call it the Monster Mile for nothing. So really interested to see if Braxton DeWeese can get a really good jump here and have a really tight battle for these last 10 laps.
Yeah, we are going to be restarting inside of 10 laps to go. As you can see there, lights are off on the iRacing pace car. We are getting ready to head back to green and get this going and see what these guys can do here in this last little short stretch. See who's going to bring home the checkered flag. Pace car has pulled off. Front row the same as the last start. Keith Mayato on the inside. Braxton DeWeese in that 00 on the outside. Green flag is back out in the air, and you can see a good jump there for Keith Mayato. He is going to clear into the lead. Levi Cox looking to the inside for second, and it looks like he's going to be able to take that position. Bailey Turner going to try to come through for third place here as well.
Yeah, side by side with Braxton DeWeese. You see Levi Cox running that top line. We saw him be one of the first drivers to do it and do that late apex. Has a great run coming out of turn 4, running down Keith Mayato into turn 1, runs right in the tire tracks through 1 and 2, Daniel.
Yeah, and as we take a look at that, Bailey Turner cleared for third as they are 3 wide. Think better of it, though. Back there for 4th position. But up front, the battle for the lead is on. Levi Cox in the tire tracks of the 36 of Keith Mayato, trying to chase him down. He is there. He is looking to the inside. He has got a corner on Keith Mayato. They're going to be side by side coming off of 4. Mayato with the momentum. Going to hold on to it for now.
Oh, Keith Mayato drifts up into the corners. Levi Cox looks to the inside. Really tough to pass on the inside. Big wreck in the back.
Yeah, there are 2 destroyed cars on the front straightaway. The 80 of Dennis Faircloth. The 65 of Jace Cully, I believe, was the other driver caught up in that. Dennis Faircloth's car looking more like a modified now. To cue this up on the replay and see what happened here. Brody Hayes directly in front, probably still fighting a little bit of damage from that earlier incident. Oh, Dennis just got really tight off of turn 4 into the wall. 65 of Jace Cully, an innocent bystander in all of that. And he gets a lot of damage out of that as well, Lucas.
Yeah, it's wrong place, wrong time for Jace Coley, as we're going to ride on board to see what he sees. Dennis Faircloth running that top line, going into turn 3 now, just running the bottom, pushes up a little bit. Dennis Faircloth just hits a wall. He comes across his nose, pushes him down the track, and just nowhere for Jace Coley to go.
Yeah, those are always the toughest wrecks when you're a driver, because you know there's really absolutely nothing that you could have done different. You're just a passenger along for the ride at that point. So, you know, not really anything that Jace Cully could have done different in that situation. But, folks, this is going to put us for a shootout for the win. And on this restart, you're going to have Bailey Turner on the inside behind the leader once we go back green. This might be the opportunity that 24 car has been looking for. We've seen that third place driver on a few occasions tonight has been able to clear to get up into second place. So I'm going to be really curious to see if Bailey Turner can get up there to the back bumper of that 36 car. What does he do?
I'd say he puts a bumper to him. I know you know me, Daniel, and I'm not afraid to use a bumper, whether it's for a win or in the back half top 10, back half top 20. A position is a position, and with how these points are, every position matters. We talked about it at the top of the show. Bailey Turner is up into the 5th positions, as we'll take a quick look here as we're under caution. Bailey Turner, 48 points back of Brody Hayes, who's kind of suffering tonight with that damage that he got with that 3-wide action. So any points that he can gain on Brody Hayes and Levi Cox will help him tremendously tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. And Brody Hayes currently back in the 12th position as we run, so that points lead is definitely in jeopardy. There are 2 drop races, so depending on how those factor in, might not be quite as bad of a night as it looks. But Lucas, we're going to see something we haven't seen so far. Our leader, Keith Mayato, picking the top lane on this restart. That is not something that I really expected here, but I think it might be a good idea for him if he could get that good launch and keep that momentum up as they get down into turn 1 and 2. about to find out how it's going to play out for him. This is going to end up being a natural green-white checker. We're going to take the green flag on lap 174. We've got a 2-lap shootout to settle it for the win. Keith Mayato on the outside, Levi Cox on the inside, bringing him down into that restart zone. Green flag is in the air, and they are already wrecking in the back of the pack. That's Rhea Massey. Already spun around, looked like just a lot of tire spin, and now we're going to have a overtime green-white checker finish. As we cue this up on the instant replay, they hadn't even really got rolling yet when Massey got turned around there. See, they're rolling through the restart zone as we ride on board here with car 23, and I don't even think he had an opportunity to push the gas pedal. He was already turned around and nosed into the wall.
Yeah, it just looked like Noah Mahalski got into the rear bumper. Maybe Ray Mass. Oh, it was Ryan Gimmel that actually got up into him.
Yeah, you are absolutely right. That was Ryan Gimmel, just drifted up just a little bit and caught the 23 in the left rear. That is not going to, yeah, that's definitely not going to make driver 23 happy there. So we ride on board with Ryan Gimmel, my pre-race pick here. See, he's got just a little bit of a gap to the car in front, and it looks like when he hits the gas, it just wiggles just a little bit on him, and he drifts up into Massey and turns him.
Yeah, just old tires on a restart there. So, just a little bit of tire spin, and that's what happens when you have a little bit of tire spin. Drift up the track into Ray Massey, and I want to say that's a night ender for Ray Massey.
It's definitely going to take him out of contention for a top finish here this evening. Does not look like he has a meatball, so he'll be able to roll around, finish the end of this race. But, you know, as we could see there, well, actually, it looks like he just disconnected from the session. So I'm going to take back everything I just said. That is indeed going to be a night ender for him. So, yeah, definitely a tough circumstance there for Massey. Not how you want to see your night end.
Yeah. It's really interesting to see Keith Mayato take the top there. He did get a good launch, but I thought he got a better launch at the bottom, which forces third and second to be side-by-side entering turn one with how good his jumps have been. So we'll see what lane he picks. As of right now, it looks like he's leaning back towards that top lane. Not sure if he's just scared of Bailey Turner, which actually, if he takes the top, Bailey Turner is going to be behind him. So,
yeah, my thought was the same as yours on that last restart. Maybe he was taking the top to not give Bailey Turner, who was restarting in third, that jump that we had talked about. But as you just mentioned, Bailey going to line up behind the 36 here. So, yeah, I'm with you, though. You know, it's far be it for me to question the guy holding the steering wheel. They're out there, and they know, you know, that driver of the 36 knows better than what I do up here. But personally, I like picking the bottom, get the cars behind me side by side with a little bit better launch. Same thing like what you had said. But Keith Mayato has shown that he knows what he's doing out there. He knows how to get it done. He's won races this season, up there in contention for the regular season points championship. So we're going to have to trust driver 36 as we get ready for this overtime green-white checker finish. We've got 3 attempts at it if we need it. If they get back around to the white flag, we're going to finish under green. So pace car is off. 36 again up top, Keith Mayato. Braxton DeWeese on the bottom. Levi Cox, Bailey Turner in the row behind. Green flag is out, and it looks like another good jump for Keith Mayato. He is going to be able to easily get out to the lead. Second place, side by side with Braxton DeWeese, Bailey Turner. That is exactly what Keith Mayato wants to see in his rearview mirror. They're still side by side as Mayato starts to pull away.
Yeah, entering 3 and 4, Mayato still has a 0.2 of a second gap coming to the white flag out of 4, Daniel.
White flag is indeed in the air. Michael Robinson putting his hat into the ring, trying to get up there on the podium. But up front, it is all 36. Keith Mayato, 0.2 of a second. They're wrecking behind. That was actually Michael Robinson that got turned, wrecking in the back of the pack. Doesn't matter. We're coming back to the checkered flag. Keith Mayato off of 4. He's going to win. Bailey Turner going to finish second. Braxton DeWeese bringing it home in third place. Rounding out our podium, Keith Mayato just pretty much taking him to the woodshed here this evening. 127 laps led. He controlled the majority of this race here, Lucas, and we are going to have a little bit to unpack here from some last lap carnage. You can see a couple of cars there still smoking on the front straightaway as Keith Mayato burns it down, and there was an absolute carnage on the back straightaway. I believe it started with the 29 car of Michael Robinson, and actually jumbled up our running order here, our finishing order in the top 10. Let's take a look back on the replay. See, this is back at the beginning of the restart. Michael Robinson, third car in line on the outside. See what exactly happens to him here. And it's really disappointing for Robinson too, because he was starting to make a lot of ground on that restart. He actually had, I believe, a little bit fresher tires than some of these guys as well, trying to make some ground up. So he gets an absolutely huge run there through 3 and 4, coming to the white flag. Up on the top line with Levi Cox below. Oh, they were 3 wide, door banging between the 54, the 77, the 29. And oh my God, there was all kinds of chaos. Past that, I saw a flash of purple, which I believe was the 5 of Alan Dice was caught up in that. I know the 55 of Cody Atkins, heard him say on race comms, not able to finish the race, was also caught up in it. Oh yeah, you can see the 77 of Chris Samard. When he shoots up the track, Cody Atkins just nowhere to go. Alan Dice caught up in it. Eric Hutton caught up in it. A lot of drivers, Lucas, tore up on that final caution there.
Yeah, it's
final wreck, I could say.
It's heartbreak for all these drivers, especially coming to the final 2 corners of the race, just to have it end right before we actually take a checkered flag here tonight. So just heartbreak for these guys, especially for Cody Atkins, who was running in the back half of the top 10, as it seems to be a very good night for him. As just, it's hard to put in words, Daniel.
Yeah, speaking from personal experience, I have had seasons like the one that Cody is having, where it just seems like every week you're caught up in something not necessarily of your own doing, and you're just always wrong place, wrong time. So definitely hate that for them. As you can see, the iRacing blimp there above the track. But folks, we're going to take a quick commercial break. Thanks some of our great sponsors that we have here in BTDY and with VSPEED. We will be back with you to give you the full rundown of the finishing order, as well as speak with our top 3 podium finishers. We will be right back with you.
At Cynthia Rogers, MD Dermatology, we specialize in providing comprehensive expert care for the full spectrum of skin conditions, from complex skin diseases and skin cancer to aging concerns and aesthetic needs. With decades of combined experience in medical, surgical, and aesthetic dermatology, our team brings both deep clinical knowledge and a patient-first approach to every visit. Our practice focuses on developing personalized treatment plans tailored to each individual's skin, health, and life stage. We're located in Port St. Lucie, Florida, in the PSL Professional Center. Learn more or schedule a visit at floridaskindoctor.com.
We've been around since 1946, originated as a scrap yard and evolved into a full-on steel service center, buying and selling new steel products of light fabrication, such as cutting, shearing, bending, threading. We also run a wholesale pipe, valve, and fitting plumbing division, as well as a retail showroom outlet. And then we also are a full-on structural steel fabricator, which is the skeletal steel that you see in commercial and residential structures. We sell to a wide variety of contractors, plumbers, maintenance type personnel, underground utility companies. We sell anything from single nuts and bolts to like a typical hardware store type of feel, one fitting, to full semi-loads of pipe. We're a little deeper in our inventory, and we actually have maybe a little more specialized type of fittings and such. Stock quite a diverse inventory, so we try to keep everything here to keep you guys going.
Backed by 70 years of experience, Duncan Water Systems specializes in commercial and residential water system testing, design, installation, and maintenance. Our mission at Duncan Water Systems is to provide high-quality water solutions to every customer. We pride ourselves on being responsive, honest, and customer-oriented. Our priority is safer water for you and your family. Contact us via call, text, email, or visit us at duncanwatersystems.com.
All right, folks. Well, welcome back to Dover Motor Speedway. We just saw an absolutely amazing race here in the VSPEED. We're going to call it the VSPEED 179 with the green-white checker finish. And we're going to give you a full rundown of tonight's finishing order after a wild race that we saw here. Keith Mayato pretty much just dominating this race. He's going to bring it home in P1. Bailey Turner comes home in second. Braxton DeWeese coming home in third. Ryan Gemmel coming home in fourth. Brody Hayes finishes P5. Nice rebound for him after that damage that he had from that wreck, able to bring it home in fifth. Noah Mikulski coming home in sixth. Jeremiah Hobbs in seventh. Max Cost in eighth. Ninth place is going to be Paul Hahn. Rounding out your top 10 after an absolutely brutal wreck that he had earlier in the race, Jake Maki coming home in 10th place.
In P11, we'll have the 65 of Jace Coley, the 29 of Michael Robertson, who had a huge wreck coming into turn 3 with the 77 of Chris Amard and the 54 of Levi Cox. Going to the 13th position of Alan Dise in the 5. The 80 of Dennis Faircloth will be P14. The 54 of Levi Cox will be P15. The 55 of Cody Atkins will be 17th. The 88 of Eric Hutton will be 18th. The 77 of Chris Amard will be 19th. And, well, I already messed this up. Eric Hutton will be 18th. Ray Massey will be 19th. And then rounding out the top 20, we have Dallas Sullivan.
Yeah, and in your defense, Lucas, our two timing and scoring systems that we got here are showing a couple different results for the end of this race. I think some of that has to do with the wrecks that we saw on the last lap. But taking a look at the back of the field tonight, drivers that had some issues, we've got Zach Smith in 21st, Ryan Phillips in 22nd, 23rd, Jeremiah Holt, 24th, Todd Giles, 25th, Jonathan Cofield, 26th, Rob Liedel, and in 27th, Mark Cofield, rounding out our running order tonight. And Lucas, what do you say we bring up some of our podium finishers, get their thoughts on a wild race? I believe that you are bringing, or that you are standing by rather, with Braxton DeWeese. You got him here for us to speak with. Braxton DeWeese, our third place finisher. This is Daniel Lucas up in the booth. You got a copy on this, buddy?
I got you.
Well, you had a really solid night tonight. Started on pole, led a handful of laps. What did you need there at the end of that race to try to get back up there and mount a challenge against the 36 of Keith Mayato?
Um, if we could have kept them long runs going and getting to them green flag pit stops, I definitely think that would have helped. I felt like I was one of the better cars on the long run. Just looking at the lap times, it was either me or Keith, and as the run got on longer and longer, I was able to pick up a little more time like I said, as it kept going. So that was nice to have. You know, as the run goes on, you're able to get faster. But I definitely saved a little bit at the beginning of the runs. I'd go back from like first or second to back to fifth, and just try to ride. And then about after 25 laps, it'd really kick in, and I'd be able to make some moves around some of the other fellas that burn off their stuff a little more. And it just got to a point to where I couldn't really make much of a move. I know we were side by side there with less than about 40 some to go, I believe, or it was somewhere around there. And I was feeling pretty good just with the tires and how we were going, but I just couldn't get the rotation that I needed on the bottom. There's probably something I could have done differently. If not, then a little more rotation in the car definitely would have helped. But either way, it was still a solid run in our third and final start this year. Wish I could have done more, but just how other races and leagues scheduled up with myself. We got some other plans, but nonetheless, these three races have been pretty fun. Didn't really make too many mistakes. So I'm happy with that. I know I went off in the sand at Road America, but that was because my shifter actually malfunctioned and I couldn't shift down. So that was unfortunate. But either way, we still had some solid runs. Wish we had a better run at Darlington, but third place here tonight definitely makes that better.
You know, you kind of hit on what I was wanting to lead into with my question that I'm going to ask you. We really didn't see you outside of the top five. Um, what was it like just trying to manage your pace to save tires at a tough track like Dover and seeing the drivers kind of run away from you for a little bit and then realizing that you're able to run them back down later on in the race? Just give us a little insight of what it's like to save tires at this track.
Yeah, so I had a pace that I wanted to run at the beginning of the run and for a certain amount of time, and just to try to be consistent with that. So I try to run with that at the beginning, and whoever's around me, if however their pace is, it kind of just dictates what I do, whether I let them by or stay in front. Um, them top four there that were at the beginning of the runs, I knew I'd let them by because I knew their pace was a little bit more than what I was wanting, and the fellas behind, they were kind of around the pace I was wanting, if not just a teeny bit slower. So that worked out pretty good. And it's I feel like I'm learning more and more each race. Just the most important thing is being able to keep your pace up, but also keep the tires on it. If you can do that, then you can win races. And well, Keith was able to keep the pace up and keep the tires on it to stay in the lead. So just being able to get that track position, keep the track position. Clean air is great to have. Trying to make sure your left front is down in some clean air as well if you're behind a car. Just trying to do all the little things to try to make your car handle a little bit better with these fixed setups. So, um, just you want to make sure you want to take her easy on the beginning. With these cars, I feel like with the tire model, you got to give it about 3 to 5 laps for it to come in with the heat and actually start turning a little bit. So you don't want to overdo it. You don't want to slide your tires. You don't really want to do too much. Obviously, you don't want to go too slow, but you don't want to go like too fast to slip the tires. So yeah, just trying to practice, get a run in. Just trying to see what your tire wear is, trying different lines, trying to, get the smoothest entry, but also the fastest entry. Trying to keep your momentum up is huge here, and especially with these ARCA cars in general. So I feel like we did a pretty good job of it tonight. Just needed to pick up the pace just a little bit more so we could, try to challenge the leaders just a little bit more.
Well, a really solid run for you tonight. It's been fun watching you run these 3 races that you've been able to do. You've had some really good finishes. Before we let you go here this evening, who do you want to thank? Any sponsors, shout outs?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely the sponsor on the car, Happy Hippie Karaoke. They do karaoke at Good Time Charlie's in downtown Miamisburg, where I'm from here in Ohio, every Monday and Thursday from 10 to 1, I believe. So Josh has been a really big supporter here recently, helping me get a race car. And actually, we're getting ready to, me and my dad, we've been working on our Thunder Roadster race car and trying to get it ready for test and tune at Killcare, my local racetrack here on Thursday. So we got some work to do, but we're going to make my first start at Winchester Speedway Labor Day weekend on August 31st, which is a Sunday. Racing begins at 7, and I believe that night, both nights, Sunday and Monday during the day, potentially will be broadcast by Racing America. I see it on the schedule for Racing America, so that's pretty cool for my first start having that broadcasted. At least is what it says. So, big shout out to him. It's definitely a dream come true. So I'm looking forward to that. But also Interstate Ford, Three Dips Ice Cream Shop, Allen's Arts Images, Bennett's Publical, James on Main, Dewey's Renovations, Elevated TV, Unraveled Innovations, Short Track Report, Scrub and Tires Media, Booth 34 Diecast, Blaze Designs, Evan Pineta Designs, Chance to Redesign Shop. I actually made this scheme. It's pretty simple, just white with the logos on it and the sim stamp number. I'm not fancy with the paint schemes, but that's why I got 3 of them pretty badass painters there. So appreciate them, and also appreciate Bullet Dog Coffee Company. I believe you can still use Brax5 for 10% off over there. But I appreciate y'all. It's been a fun ride. Hopefully we can see y'all again sometime, and hopefully y'all take care.
Right, and that was our third place finisher, Braxton DeWeese. Really strong run tonight. And next, we are going to get a word with our second place finisher on the evening, Bailey Turner. As we bring him up here into the broadcast booth. Bailey, this is Daniel Lucas up here in the booth. You got a copy on us?
Yeah, I got you guys.
Well, man, really strong run tonight. You've moved up into 4th place in the points, and just really good run overall, showing that speed that we're used to seeing out of you. Just talk us through your night a little bit. What were you struggling with out there, or where do you feel like you maybe needed just a little bit more to mount a better challenge for the win?
Realistically, I just need clean air. A lot of us, like I had a very poor qualifying effort. Started mid pack, and I mean, realistically, with this car and tire combo, you're kind of just stuck. So, did the whole tire saving thing for multiple runs, kept getting track position, and then, you'd lose it on the short run and hope a caution wouldn't come out while you were trying to save your tires, and you kind of had guys that would come and go as soon as they burnt their stuff off, and yeah, honestly, I just got bored in the middle of the race and got tired of tires, tire saving, and said, all right, I'm gonna go try to go for the lead, and drove from, I think it was like 6th or 8th all the way up to the back bumper of Keith, and tried to pressure him into a mistake, and just really did all I could to try to force him into something. And then once I knew my right front was gone, I just kind of backed off, let the top 7 or 8 go, and just nursed the car around and tried to maintain some lap time. And we were just going to try to make it on fuel there at the end. And yeah, luckily got that caution. And, I just went all out, balls to the wall for those handful of restarts, got as much track position as I could. And yeah, I just had to fulfill the Chase Elliott prophecy in that 2017 Napa car where he decided to finish second every week. So yeah, but no, good run to Keith. Yeah, wish I would have had a shot at some clean air and seen what we could have done with that. Really, I felt like, whoever had the lead was realistically in control and was probably going to win the race. So, yeah, just get a little better qualifying effort and get up front and, see what we can do.
Well, real quick, I hate to take Lucas's thunder since he's the next one that's usually the one to ask the question, but since you brought it up, I'm a Kyle Busch fan. So I vividly remember the fall Dover race here with the battle between them two. Did you kind of feel like Chase Elliott tried to chase down Kyle Busch at the end of that one? or were you having a
yeah,
little
I was
flashback?
I was looking for Ryan Newman out there actually, waiting for him to arrow block me somehow. Yeah, yelling at the screen to tell Chase to move up that day was very frustrating. But yeah, no, it was a good race. Obviously a Chase fan and a Gordon fan, so thinking about cycling through all these paint schemes for the rest of the year. And I was looking for the one that Jeff won here at Dover. Unfortunately, couldn't find that on Trading Paint, so we decided we wanted to finish P2.
Yeah, both of you all talked about y'all's favorite driver running here at Dover. My driver wasn't even running here yet, but you talked about running kind of as much as you can after one of those restarts, and then you started to fall back. Was fuel saving any thought in your mind at that point, being about 4 laps longer than the numbers that we had for about how long a fuel run is? We saw you save about 8 laps longer on fuel at Darlington. Like, was that any thought of in your mind if this race ran green?
Yeah, it popped up in my head, and then I just said, you know what, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Yeah, I just wanted to get the track position, and felt like we had been averaging a caution every 30 or 40 laps, so if I could manage that and try to get the lead and hold the clean air for that long, I felt like we were probably going to get a yellow at some point. And the fuel saving, I mean, I was right on my number at the restart anyway, and I knew I was going to push a little harder than I had been every run. So I knew if I pushed super hard at the beginning part of the run, I'd have to kind of back it up on the tail end of that, which we did, but unfortunately just murdered the right front in the process. So looking forward to hopefully we can get some looser setups and something we can kind of drive off the right rear. The car was tight but edgy at the same time, so made for an interesting combo. It's just so difficult when you're on a single lane racetrack like this on iRacing with this tire, and you're just kind of playing follow the leader. So hopefully Charlotte will be a different experience next week.
All right, well, that was our second place finisher, Bailey Turner. Congrats on the strong run tonight. Good drive up through the field there, and we'll see you next week at Charlotte.
Appreciate it.
And taking a look down here, Lucas, I don't actually see our race winner, Keith Mayato, standing by for an interview. So let's give him a moment to see if he's here, if maybe he had to run because of time or whatever the case was. We actually had a replay request in our YouTube chat from Max Cost. Said he wanted to know if we can go through an onboard view of of that last wreck that we saw. So if you could, Lucas, let's queue up a quick replay of that. We know there was an awful lot of carnage there at the end of that deal, and a pretty big wreck with a lot of cars that were involved. And believe Max was actually able to skirt through that with everything that happened. So take a look here. This was actually back right when the green flag came out for that restart. See the 63. Yeah, Max must have done a really great job of wreck avoidance here, because he's running at the tail end of the lead lap, as you can see there. So we'll keep an eye on this as we wait to see if our race winner, Keith Mayato, is available for an interview here. Didn't actually see that wall contact from Jace Cully until this replay here. But we'll take a quick look. You can see there's cars sliding oh my gosh. This that's kind of like Moses parting the Red Sea there. Max Koch just, I'm gonna have to take a look at the onboard here with this as we ride along with them. You can see all kinds of cars starting to wreck. All he sees in front of him right now is 2x2 smoke. Wow, that's a hell of a job getting through there. That's all I can say about that. I don't think my man ever lifted when he got through that. He just said he was holding it to the floor until he saw God or a checkered flag. Man, that was a heck of a job getting through there. I could see why he wanted us to show that. Thank you for the suggestion, Max, because that was a really good job getting through that wreck. So and it worked out for you to bring home a top 10 also. So, yeah, really good job getting through that. But Lucas, it doesn't look like we have our race winner close by to be able to get a word. So congrats to Keith Mayato. I know he's got to be excited about that win. Puts him in a good spot for the points as we head into our regular season finale. We saw a really wild race here this evening, Lucas. I mean, we saw a little bit of everything. Give us your final thoughts on that one here this evening. Or do we have Keith by that we can pull him in? I stand corrected. We do have Keith Mayato here. Keith, this is Daniel Lucas up in the booth. You got us?
10-4.
Well, hey, great job tonight. You took the lead early. You pretty much took these boys out to the woodshed here this evening with leading over 120 laps. Was it as easy from the driver's seat as you made it look at times?
No, definitely not that easy. A lot of patience when it came to the long run, and I had a lot of competition towards the end there. There's a lot of guys coming after me, and a few little mistakes here and there, but enough to survive to the end.
We saw you and Brody Hayes work pretty well together, and we saw you basically kind of relinquish that spot to Brody Hayes. What was the communication like when you all were pulling out to what I saw? The biggest gap was about 2.5 seconds. Were y'all just kind of running y'all's pace, minding y'all's tires, and one driver would set the pace for a little bit, and then you all would switch, and then you would just follow in Brody Hayes' tire tracks? Or just give us a small little rundown of what it's like.
It's pretty easy. I didn't want him in front of me. There was actually no communication at that point. I wanted to get by him as soon as possible because I knew I was able to keep up with him while riding right behind him the whole run. So I knew I just needed a little mistake for him, and that one run, luckily, a car came out of the pits, gave him some dirty air, and he knew exactly what I was feeling like riding behind him the whole time, and then that gave me the opportunity. I don't think if that didn't happen, I don't think I would have got by him, to be honest. The dirty air was that bad when we were that equal during that run.
Well, really strong run tonight, and again, you just you put yourself in a good spot for the points as we head into Charlotte to try to have a chance at that regular season championship. Before we let you go here this evening, who you got to thank? Any sponsors or shout outs?
Yeah, shout out for VSPEED for sponsoring tonight, for allowing us to be part, my teammates and I, for being part of the team with Adam. It's great to be part of those guys. Just my teammates, you know what I mean? And everyone that's part of this league. They did an awesome job tonight. It got a little hectic at the end, but it was also exciting. And for yourself, Daniel and Lucas, for putting on an awesome show tonight.
All right. Well, thank you, Keith. Congratulations on the strong run. We'll see you next week at Charlotte.
Thank you, sir. Have a good night, guys.
All right. Well, Lucas, I know we kind of jumped the gun a little bit there, but man, another really good race here in the BTDY Florida Skin Doctor Racing Series. What's your final thoughts on Dover as we wrap up here this evening?
I thought it was a good race, Daniel. I mean, we did see very tough to pass here. The driver up top really being able to pinch the driver down on the bottom, make it really tough to pass. Saw a bunch of single file. Saw a huge wreck coming to the checkered flag in turn 3. And that amazing wreck avoidance by Matt Koss, acting like Moses, and the C's just parked for him to get that 8th place finish. But it was just a great race. Looking at the recaps, 7 cautions, only 2 lead changes. That's just absurd to me to only have 2 lead changes at a mile track like Dover.
Yeah, definitely the lead changes don't tell the full story here. It was still a competitive race throughout the field, a lot of close racing. But next week, this has become a bit of a BTDY tradition. They always, at least for the longest time that I can remember, they run what is the equivalent of the Coke 600 for this series. 300 miles, 200 laps next week at Charlotte Motor Speedway. You'll be able to catch it here on VSPEED as we wrap up the regular season and prepare for the chase for the championship. Next week will be a good one. One of the longest races, actually the longest race that league race that I think I've ever done was one of these over here in BTDY. So it'll be a good one, and you'll be able to see it all here. But folks, that's going to do it for our coverage here this evening for BTDY, the FloridaSkinDoctor.com racing series. So for all the admins here at BTDY, for Adam Baker and Bradley Cooper at VSPEED, our producer and co-commentator in the booth tonight, Lucas Lyons. My name is Daniel Cunningham. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being a part of the broadcast and supporting everything we do over here. And we hope to see you next week at Charlotte Motor Speedway.